Right, so it's the 29th of the 6th, 2024, and there's a whole load of bloody problems that have occurred. So last night, at 10:30 PM, if we skip the threats and the stuff that was shouted outside and all the rapist threats and to smash me and to knife me dead, to inject me with HIV, to tell me that I raped Sadie and I'm going to be bashed in or whatever else. It starts off with the Sadie threat before burning sensation occurs at 10:30 PM. So I was at intense burning, it got really bad. It felt like my head was crushing in, the inside of my head was being cooked by something, and it felt like my face was burning, and around my lips there was intense burning around there. And in one side of my arm when I woke up this morning, because this has been going on all night, I've been in pain. I can't report it or anything like that because I've seen it's schizophrenia, and that your mind is visualising these pains and that it's not caused by a natural cause when it is. So obviously it shows up on my EMF meter and it shows up on my radiation detector. So the laptop decided to play by itself, so all the icons were moving by itself, so I couldn't really do much on that. I don't know what's causing that, unless the computer's had its day. But the laptop's had its day, should I say. It's still a computer, but it's known as a laptop, just in case when you get this information that you don't know what it is, because you're so far in advance with the technology in a digital age that you probably might not have heard of them. Anyway, so this burning got intense. So other occurrences that occurred was like burning sharp cat claw scratch marks all over my body. It was affecting my ear as well last night. A lot of ringing in my ears, I did notice that. Also my eye, it was kind of sore, but it was not a cat claw scratch mark pain in the eye. It's more of a case like when you get bloodshot in your eye, it's that sort of pain in your eyes, in certain parts of the eye, not just one area of the eye, several parts. So it's not like the burning or the intense grittiness in the eye that I had at my old place, where it felt like your eye was all dry and the feeling like your eye was being forced open and outwards, and sometimes felt like it's being twisted outwards. I'm not quite sure how to describe the feeling, but when I took pictures of it, you could see that the eyeball was like it wanted to come out its socket. I don't know how they were doing it or what was causing it, and I had to camp because of that issue. When it comes to this specific issue, it has occurred since the 1st of January 2024 at the place I am at now, but it seems to be mainly burning. Anyway, when it comes to this burning, when I woke up this morning, between my hand and my elbow, the outside of my arms feels like it's all burnt, and it also feels like there's muscle pain there, or stretched muscle pain. I've got one foot that's swollen. As far as my stomach area is concerned, no problem at all. But everywhere else there seems to be burning and whatever else. Anyway, there's one specific threat that occurred last night that really, really annoyed me. And that was, someone said that they don't want me here and they're going to burn me with radiation or energy weapons until I go to a certain place. And then they said, until I go to that certain place, they can't accuse me of raping a child. So they need to use these energy weapons to burn me, to stop me staying where I live, so that I go to this place to stay, so that they can accuse me of raping a child when I get back to my place, when I finally have to go back to my place. That's what they were saying, and I was very annoyed by that. But anyway, when I wake up this morning, and it occurs in particular, it's like it has different levels to it. So they can increase the power, the intensity of it, and do whatever. It appears. I don't think it's a natural cause, but I'm inhaling flies again, because this is a very busy area for flies, and there's been more flies this year than any other year I've walked down here in the last 3 years I've lived in Yeovil. So let's crack on with today's setup, shall we? So initially it's time and drain covers to be hit over and bikes to erections. There's only been a couple of threats, and there's been a couple of people that have mistaken me as Savan. There's actually been the Liam threat again. That's been quite a nasty threat. There's been a couple of people that are coughing, and there's been a couple of people that have sneezed directly at me, as if they don't give a shit, and some are doing it on purpose, I've noticed. I go to buy what I need to buy, a couple of essentials, drink, food or whatever for the walk I'm doing, and I'm going out for the walk for the day. But just before we go any further, there's something I forgot to mention about the issue with the burning. We've got a neighbour called Pete, and he was discussing for a good 10 minutes that all this is caused by schizophrenia, paranoid thoughts, and the way your schizophrenia is changing, causing you to develop these pains of where you're experiencing this burning. So I said I don't have schizophrenia or hear things in my head. And he says, well, the thing is, you hear these threats, you hear these voices, and he says that's schizophrenia and all the rest of it. When I went into A&E, because obviously I've been to the hospital because of this burning, because it's made me feel dizzy, it's made me feel sick, and obviously the crushing inside my head, where it feels like something's crushing inside your head, and it's also messing up your concentration and your thoughts, and it's turning you into a vegetable, basically, in some ways, near enough. And when I did go to the ambulance, an emergency unit in Yeovil, just over a month ago, back in May, or the late April, no, I think it's May, actually. It could have been April, but I think it's the start of May. I noticed that when they did a check on me, they didn't do much apart from measure my heartbeat and do a couple of other things like that, look into my ear, and that's basically all they did, and asked a few questions. And they said that all the burning is caused by schizophrenia, and said the only way to test to see if it's not schizophrenia is to put you on the highest amount of medication that you can possibly take and see if it still happens then. Well, just last week, and it happens quite frequently, they've made the suggestion with setups that they're trying to knock me off with medication in high dosages. But if we go back to when I was living at Burnham-on-Sea, I collapsed outside of the co-op shop at Barrow because I was on the highest amount of olanzapine, or near enough the highest amount. I think I was on 15 milligrams of the maximum of 20 milligrams, and I decided to take some to see if it would help. In actual fact, at the time I took the medication, back at that time, we were going through a stage where things were worsening, not getting better. And believe it or not, when I wasn't taking it, there was no problems, which happens to be a coincidence. But yeah, I collapsed on the floor, and these two people laughed at me. Then they started getting angry with each other, and then started turning back in my way and saying, "Go on, let's kick him. Now he's on the floor, let's go and kick him out. Fucking beat the shit into him. He's a fucking rapist. He's Savannah, alright?" And started that row. And these were bearded types of people. And then they said it's alright, he's lost his sight anyway. His fucking sockets are gone. So they're probably referring to the energy weapons that were being used at Burnham-on-Sea. Even though I took photographs and whatever of this and showed it to people like the police or whatever, some of them had different views on it, and some agreed with me. Some said, although this looks interesting, we have to go with our own views, because that's the way we have to look at things. So when I mentioned that these devices, when this occurs, this pain that it shows up, you know, with the burning at my place, that when it shows up on the EMF meter or the radiation detector, they said it might show up on there, but we can't take anything from that. We have to go with our own views and our own ways, and if it shows up, it shows up. There's nothing you can do about that. We have to look at it our way, and we have to consider things like schizophrenia. So basically, I've got an appointment with Holly Court, which is the psychiatrist, on the 4th of July this year, which is on Thursday, 2024, which is in Yeovil, where they chose the best day ever, because since the middle of March 2024 to now, there's only been 3 cloudy days, and I like to go out on a cloudy day because I'm getting pissed off of it being sunny everywhere I go. So you had 3/4 of a day on the 2nd of April. Before the 5th of April 2024, you had about 20 rainstorms, or torrential heavy rainstorms, that lasted a few seconds to a maximum of about 10 minutes, which was with cloud. So all those rainstorms were with cloud. After the 5th of April, they were causing the sky state to be in a certain way where it was sunny at the same time as when the rainstorms were occurring. Although you had some nice rainbow effects on some of the rainstorms, they managed to get 40 to 50 rainstorms with the sun out at the same time. And they've been circling me with that sun right through the last 3 years, stopping me access a single day with cloud being around, in a way where it's only circling me, in a cursed type of way, in fact. But they managed to do it every single day. I don't know how they're doing it. But they didn't manage it on the 2nd of April, where you have 3/4 of a day where it's cloudy and rainy. On the 28th of May, half a day was cloudy, otherwise sunny. And then on the 22nd, I think it was, of June, that was another day where it was cloudy to some extent, but there were a lot of sunshine there as well. Mostly when I was moaning about the Met Office lying and the BBC lying as I was filming the evidence to put on the internet, basically. So straight after I did that, they turned it into a cloudy day, but only for half a day, with sections of sunshine coming out at times in an hour period where the sun came out and whatever else before coming sunny in the evening, with temperatures in my room of about 30 degrees Celsius. Right, so going back to the medication and all the rest of it, they have been digging at me about this persistently. So obviously they want to see me on the 4th of July at Holly Court. Well, on that specific day, believe it or not, it's the cloudiest day that we got this month in July coming up, meaning I'm going to miss all the fun of going for a walk or doing something on a cloudy day because the sun's going to be out. Well, they want to give me medication or try and change it to injection forms of medication and doing things like that. Well, the thing is, I don't even have schizophrenia. When I was a child, my parents paid for me to have a proper diagnosis at Elmwood School, in 1993. And they didn't link anything to schizophrenia. It was only when I mentioned threats being made to me, going back in 2003 area, and all the aggressive shouting and everything else, that they started to believe that it's schizophrenia. When I played them audio recordings in the past, people in authority like social workers, support workers, doctors or whoever, they've said, well, the problem is we can't take this as evidence because it could be on someone's TV or something else, or they just put it down to schizophrenia and saying that they've not heard it when you can quite clearly make out what it says. And on one specific occasion, if we go back to 2016 or 2015, one of the recordings I played to the police actually said there is something on there and it doesn't sound good, but they don't know the full extent of the recording. And they asked me, what did the doctor say about that? And I said, I played it to the doctor and he said there's nothing on there. He says it's caused by schizophrenia. So the police kind of sort of agree with me on that one. But yeah, it's like that, you know. But anyway, the setups walking about over the last couple of weeks have been a lot more negative. At the moment, it seems to be telling me that the Liberal Democrats are going into power, which is an organisation in government. So you've got UK Reform, Labour Party, Conservative Party, the Tories, that is, as alternatives saying, and then obviously you've got the Liberal Democrats, known as the Lib Dems. Well, they've been timing a ripping you to pieces van, followed by a Liberal Democrats sign being carried, or vote Liberal Democrats sign on someone's house wall or whatever. But they time that ripping you to pieces van so frequently that the person that drives that ripping you to pieces van has actually stuck that vote Liberal Democrats on the side of his van. And you could tell by the look on his face that he's seen me many times, because he sort of laughed and sort of grinned as if they passed me, when they passed me, because there's a couple of people that are in that van. So ripping you to pieces, it says in big writing, is a van that occurred back in the past, but the writing's faded away because obviously that van is no longer a stationary van anymore, which sells stationary goods or delivers stationary goods. So it's been out of use and they've left the name on there. And obviously the writing's deteriorated over the years. I don't know how old the writing is, but you can see that it's deteriorated. It's got to be at least 15 years old for the writing to be almost unreadable and early. So if it's a sunny day, you wouldn't be able to photograph the evidence because it wouldn't come out. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, with the medication and all that, they've been timing suggestions to say, we want to get rid of you, we want you fucking dead, we'll just give you a taste of your own fucking medication, just fucking die, just drop dead, you're fucking useless, you're worthless, you're a fucking worthless piece of shit. What we want is we want you medicated. We don't give a fuck about you. As long as we can shut your fucking face up, as long as we can put you into a cabbage state, into a zombie state, we don't give a fuck. Just shut your fucking face, get you off our back. That is their attitude. Just fucking hell, flies down my throat again. I've inhaled about 100, believe it or not. I've had about But basically daily I'm getting ticks bite me. Anyway, so I had a phone call yesterday from the home treatment team, and I'm not very happy with them because obviously I did a shouting recording because I had a break-in where all my stuff is stored and I lost all my music and everything else. But I didn't really have that much in the way of music when it comes to old school jungle or anything like that, because energy weapons destroyed all my discs and wiped the USB sticks and fucked up the hard drives when I was living at my old place at Burnham-on-Sea. But anyway, I've forgotten what I was going to say now. If we go back to, I've forgotten what I was going to say, believe it or not. I had this yesterday, by the way. I've forgotten what I was going to say on this specific section, because what happened was, they timed a load of people in my direction, and I lost my bearings. Well, basically what happened is the home treatment team phoned me up, and going back to when I lost my temper, because of all these things that occurred, the break-in of the stuff at the place where my stuff was stored, and all the other problems, and sexuality, and the fact that I've never had anyone in my whole life apart from being sexually abused as a child and now 43 years of age, and being nailed as a sick cunt because I won't fancy an old granny or a face that looks like shingles attraction. And people are getting really fucking nasty about it. I mean, they're getting fucking nasty about it. When it comes to sexuality, it's getting aggressive. I mean, really fucking aggressive. But I've mentioned that on another documentary, so I'm just going to keep it to what I need to say at this minute in time. Right, so when the home treatment team initially saw me, back in the time when I lost my temper and put it on YouTube, and the social worker complained about it, and I said, yeah, well, I've had enough of it, you know, my life's gone down the drain, so... But they don't take that into account. They just say, well, you need medication, we need to slam it down your throat, we need to bump you off with medication. So what happened was, they phoned me up with this accent, you know, are you taking your medication, mate? You sure you're taking it? Because we're hearing stuff that you're not taking your medication, because we need to come around and we need to medicate you. There's that sort of accent. Well, there's one specific thing that I mentioned, and that is my mum has got bowel cancer and throat cancer, which I only found out a couple of days ago, which is only adding to the problems and making me more moody and a bit stressed out because of it. Well, when I mentioned that, the home treatment team basically said, whatever's occurring with your mum or your family is nothing to do with us. Our main concern is getting you sorted out with that medication, so that, and all that sort of stuff, basically. Saying that we need you medicated, we need to sort out this medication, we need to guarantee you're taking it. Whatever happens with your family, or whatever happens what in your day or your daily problems, we don't give a fuck. Our job is just to medicate you and to do that, basically. So that's what they said, and I was a little bit annoyed by that because of the attitude, you know, towards what was being said. But that's basically what was said. So, you know, that was that. Right, let's move on to the setups of today, shall we? So there's a lot of construction on the bridge, timing vehicles with overhanging trailers to rip my legs off from behind, and this and that. I've known it a lot busier though. But, and then I make it to where I am, basically. But one thing that has annoyed me is I've had to restart the camera and redo it about 40 times because the camera keeps switching off in a cursed way, like it's being caused. And that is, they done what they did the other week. They've timed a lookalike to someone who sexually abused me as a child, timed as my willy shoots up, timed as I get an erection, or a boner. Well, straight after that, there's a family that walked past, and that family that walked past are wearing t-shirts. One of those t-shirts says, make love and not war. The other one says, age is just a number, it's love that counts. And then, obviously after that, there's another t-shirt that says, over 50 is too old, under 50 is fine. We're not very happy about this because all three of those t-shirts look like they're manufactured by the same company, and they all look like they're big selling brand t-shirts that have been produced for 2023 or 2024. Now, I'm not sure 100% about this, but I've seen several of these t-shirts lately, and it's making me wonder whether it's been produced deliberately to try and get people in sexual relationships with age gaps, basically. But at the same time, I'm only 6 years away from being 50, and they're obviously going to stop me getting anyone, and they're going to keep on stop me getting anyone with this controlled evil setups that are occurring. So basically that means that when I do reach 50, it'd be too late anyway because of the information content on that t-shirt and the fact that it's a mass produced t-shirt. Now, I don't know 100% whether it's mass produced, but how are they doing this? Because they got this, or these 3 t-shirts in that order going back several weeks ago, and they've also on quite a few occasions managed to get 2 of those t-shirts straight after I look like to someone who sexually abused me as a child is tied to an erection. But anyway, let's go on to the next subject, shall we? The next thing I want to mention is going back to the Liberal Democrats. There's one specific day where they timed a just-in-time van. So what happened is you had the Ripping You to Pieces van, and then you had just-in-time van, which came together after passing a Liberal Democrats, a Vote Liberal Democrats sign, which is a party that's in 10 Downing Street that could get elected at the 2024 July election. Anyway, this has been happening quite a few times, as I was saying, and that person's actually decided to put a Liberal Democrats sign on his van that says "Ripping You to Pieces." Well, the just-in-time van is a just-in-time van, so it's just in and time. So what it is it's got a picture of a cartoon character holding a mallet, smashing a double bell alarm clock, one of those wind-up alarm clocks. And the springs are flying over the place, the glass is smashed in the clock face, and obviously the clock is broken where the mallet is smashing that clock. In the clock face it says "just in time", so that's why I call it a just-in-time van. But there is other just-in-time vans as well. There's a just-in-time van which is a grey van with green writing, but it doesn't have a picture of a clock on it, and that was based when I was living at Burnham-on-Sea, when I was seeing that specific van. I'm not sure if I've seen this one though. I do recall seeing this one as well. Well, I went into a cough fit, kind of, where I was inhaling flies. So there's a big chunk of information I forgot to mention, and I've actually forgotten what I need to mention, and it's quite serious stuff. Anyway, let's go to the Liberal Democrats, or Lib Dems. When the rulers of the UK go in power, it's usually the Conservative Party or the Labour Party. UK Reform has never been in power. I don't think the Green Party has, or any other minor parties, or the Lib Dems, which is known as the Liberal Democrats. Obviously these setups that are occurring were occurring 2 months before the election takes place, and people's votes haven't even been counted yet to who's actually going in power in the UK government, whether it's going to be Conservative, Labour, UK Reform or Lib Dems. However, with these setups that are occurring, like mentioning the Ripping You to Pieces van occurring every time it passes is a Liberal Democrat sign, with me being on the scene as well, they are strongly suggesting that the Liberal Democrats are going into power and that they're going to step up this action to rip me to pieces once they've gained power. So it's like a build-up where they know in advance that they're going into power before they actually gain power. So I find that very interesting. The other thing that's annoyed me is the type of setups that are occurring lately. And they're doing it every day, and they've been in trouble for doing this. The police have had a go at me in the past, and obviously my dad's had a go at me as well, because of the information that's occurring, or the wording on vehicles, because he doesn't want anything said about him when it's coming out in that stupid way. You know, ways that are far-fetched, which I can't really talk about, because it's not the right thing to do, and it's not the right way to go about setups. And a lot of this was occurring back at that time, and it was occurring at events like Valentine's Day as well. So, you know, it wasn't good. So, to cut a long story short, what's happened is they're gathering all these vehicles to insult me and take the piss out of me with wording like your father's name, or, you know, actually saying dad itself on a vehicle, coming out with t-shirt wording to make another suggestion, and a van with a word on it to make another suggestion after that. But the interpretation or suggestions, if you were to look at it in a storyline, is coming out in a really far-fetched way, which I can't really mention because it would cause trouble. And they're not just doing 1 or 2 vehicles. You can get about 20 vehicles in one go where you've got a wording that's coming out as a sentence. I don't know how they managed to rig it up or how to cause it. But in general, talking about other setups, like timing vehicles to smash into me, timing enemies in my path, timing rough people in my direction, is all on the increase at the moment. So on average, in 2022, you had at least 40 people photographing me in one day thinking I was Sven. You had at least 40 people in one day sneezing or coughing in my face at a minimum of that year, 2022. And also, you had a minimum of people making threats of about 40 people a day, per day, of that year, 2022. For all of those three things, it could be as high as 140 per day, and on really bad days, it can be over 200. So, you know, it's not good, but that's the way that they're organising it. The loud bikes time to an erection, they're going off to scale with that as well. But they usually time it on the hotter days, or when, you know, I'm prone to getting a boner, basically, an erection, due to the hot weather, or due to the fact that you need sex and you can't get sex because you haven't had it in your whole life. When it comes to sexuality, some of the spiteful things that people are saying is getting nastier and nastier. So if we go back to just walking up here, there was a couple of threats earlier. I'm trying to see if I've got it on this sheet of paper. Hang on, just 2 secs. And this is just one. Sick cunt for looking at people under 40. What was the other one? Stab a fucking knife in him. Everyone's negative looking said. I can't remember how it's said, but it's like said in a sarcastic way to say, yeah, you're a fucking sick cunt. You're supposed to look at people over the age of 40. Yet take into account, as I mentioned before, all these people have had sex when they're in their teens, 20s and 30s. And they've made all these single mothers, you know, all these teenagers single mothers when they're in their teens. And they're also the highest priority on Home Finder when it comes to the council moving people into new homes. When it comes to people that are single men, they're treated as worthless pieces of shit. And also, believe it or not, people that are homeless, that are not working, they're treated like a piece of shit as well. If they're working, they get better priority, but the highest priority out of all people are the youngest people. It's gone reverse to what it used to be, basically. So if you're under the age of 25, you get more priority than anybody else, followed by single mothers. You know, it's like that. It's these sorts of people are the ones that get the highest priority. And obviously they do need to move. But even those that are not working, that are single mothers, that are in sexual relationships, under the age of 25, get high priority as well, I notice. They get higher priority than someone who's in a flood, and higher priority to a serious police incident, and higher priority to an old granny that needs to move to a flat that's on a downstairs level because she can't use the stairs. And I'm not making that up. It's stupid how they work it, but they seem to pick and choose who goes. It's not done. They use it in a banding system, so the highest banding, like emergency, should get the highest priority, but it doesn't work like that anymore. And then gold, and then it goes down to silver and bronze for those that are not in a hurry to move. And it tells you who gets prioritised on the Home Finder register on the property you bidded on, of what banding person, what person and what banding got the place that they wanted to move to. And the other thing that they're doing is they're only offering slum places where you get all these really nasty people and violence. They can only offer me those types of places because all the other types of places, like the nicer places, are not prioritised for because I'm only a single man that's not working, and I'm not in a sexual relationship, or I don't have a partner, or I don't have a child, and I'm not working. So they work it on that principle. So they're being fussy about that as well. So they're deliberately stopping you from bidding on specific places as they are choosing the type of place you move into due to your circumstances as well. So if someone's a teenager and a single mother, usually a roughneck type person who's a druggie and so associated with roughneck people, should get a nice place in the countryside type of thing, or a nice place where she's close to shops, but, you know, in a nice area. Where people like myself, we get told that we need to move into the slums. Now this never used to work like that, on that principle. It didn't even work on that principle 8 years ago, or 10 years ago. But it's all changed now, it's all different. So that's the way it's got to be looked at. Anyway, between the 7th of May 2023 to the middle of July Apart from 4 days, which also included around about 400 loud bites timed to an erection, every other day reached nearly 1,000 or around about 1,000 loud bites timed to an erection every single day of that 6 weeks, which is a record-breaking amount of timing loud bites timed to an erection in one period of time, including out of all places I lived. However, in 2015 or 2016 and 2017, I can't remember which years it was, but those 3 years, 2 of those 3 years, every single bike on the road was timed to an erection, time washing my cock, timed going to the toilet, timed to an itchy bumhole. Every bike, no matter if it's in the early hours of the morning, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Boxing Day, or whenever, they managed to rig up and time a loud bike to every single erection on 2 of those years. And I got really annoyed by it, and I got in trouble with the police because I contacted 10 Downing Street about it and got a bit nasty about it, and I nearly got in trouble. Well, after all that, as I said before, they didn't stop it. It just continued and continued. But then we went into like a lockdown stage. I just had to put up with it and put up with it. However, I was walking on the beach to eliminate the issue, so I wasn't having to put up with it all the time. And there was times where I was listening to music with headphones to get away from it. However, when I was doing that, they were telling people to sneeze and cough in my face and whatever else. But as soon as we went into lockdown, there was a calm stage before this action started to get nasty again. Once we'd come out of the lockdown, they started timing all Dan Morgan's type of people. He's my ex-mugger, Dan Morgan, and he lives up near Burnham-on-Sea. Well, he doesn't give me any trouble today, but the type of people he associates with, or the type of people you see him with, or the sorts of people he's knowledgeable with, they're the types of people they're putting in my direction every single day since we've come out of the lockdown into the new way of life. So all these people are mistaking me as Sven or Liam and giving me threats daily. But there's nothing you can do about it. So that's that. Now let's get to the sun curse, because this is another documentary that I wanted to make, but I'm going to add it to this video. Going back to 2023, I saw a specific painting that's being sold on a postcard in Yandles at Martock, which is in South Somerset near Yeovil. And I recognised the painting. I didn't think much of it at the time. I just thought to myself, I've seen that on the internet, and just left it at that. While I was walking to the bus stop, I thought to myself, I got to get a picture of that, or I got to buy that card. It's very important because of the suggestion it made. So I thought, well, I can't do it now because I'll miss the last bus home. Because the last bus was 4:20 p.m. from Martock to Yeovil, back at that time, or around that sort of time period. And obviously I couldn't make it back to Yandles in time to get the bus home, otherwise it'd be a 6-7 mile walk, and that would just take forever. And it was a boiling hot sunny day, and I wasn't feeling in the best of ways either. So I decided to try another day, and then obviously I couldn't get on the bus because the bus service was packed, and the weather was sunny. But it was also packed on cloudy days, because if you remember, I was saying, as soon as a nice cloudy day occurs, they pack the bus station to stop me getting on the bus, making it impossible for me to go anywhere. So they've done that, and they've done that this year as well. They do it all the time. You just have to battle for it and just hope that you can get on the bus, and if you can't, if they defeated you, they've defeated you. It's as simple as that, and you have to find something else to do. In most cases, they do defeat me. But there are times where I just go for goal and just hope that no one sneezes over me, or, just have to... But it never happens. There's always going to be someone that sneezes over you. I don't know how this occurs, but I'm always it's like a curse. But anyway, going back to this Yandles shop, they had this specific painting on a postcard. So let's get with the story, shall we? Back in 2015-2016 area, there was 2 people that worked in Tesco's in Highbridge, and they were both named Laura or Lauren. The one looked very similar to Lisa Pike, but about 10 years older, so she would have been about 50. We're a bit older than that actually, more than 10 years at the time. It's probably more like 20, near enough 20 years older. So she'd be about 50 something, this lady. And then you had a sexy person that was a bit younger, and she was known as what I nicknamed Sexy Lauren. Well, she saw my CD that I hold when I carry out. So basically at the time it says, is anyone single? I never had anyone. If interested, just have a chat or email me. I don't do this anymore because people started on me from carrying that about, and it went into a fight and someone chasing me with a knife because of it. So I just put a music track on there and write down my stuff on there and link my music track to, say, a social media site of where my channel is, basically. So if someone wanted to check that track out, they might come across my site, though it's not guaranteed. Anyway, basically what I do is I get a CD case, I put a couple of CDs in it, I put a music track on there just to make, you know, just for something just to do, and then obviously I tape it over with clear tape, and I use it as something to lean on while writing my problems on sheets when I go out, because I write my problems every day I go out. There's not a single day where you can go out without problems. There's not a single time you can go out without problems, and that's been the same since 2005. Between 2005 and 2012, there were a couple of days where there's only one sheet, and there may have been days where I didn't state anything at all. But after about 2010, there wasn't a single day. And even when it was, you know, one sheet or 3 sheets or no sheets, that was extremely rare. Maybe 2 times a year, if that. So, yeah, that's not good. Anyway, going back to this painting. So the painting has a picture of this Laura. But obviously I need to still continue with the other information. I haven't continued I was going to mention something else, but let's get back with Lauren again. So she's a sexual looking smooth skin type lady. A specific sort of, she's got feeble eyes, sexy face, and when she saw my CD case, she did actually smile at me and tried to edge me on, basically. But at the time she was doing that, enemies or rough people were passing me and threatening to smash me out, and I was in a dangerous situation. So I had to either be forced to leave Tesco's or having arguments where people were shouting at me aggressively, actually in the shop. So at times I couldn't really speak to her or do anything, and she was aware of that. So she left my direction, I left her direction. In some cases I've had to walk out of there without purchasing anything, where it's been so bad. As time went by, she started to become less frequent. I didn't see her so much. And then obviously we had the Liam and Savenne threat coming in, and people were mistaking me as Savenne and Liam. Now they were very close together when the threats occurred. So the Savenne threat came in first, followed by the Liam threat, and there's about 10 months between the two, maybe a year between the two. The very first Savenne threat came in December 2016 or December 2017, and then the Liam threat just shortly followed after that. However, when looking at my Deep Depression Life Story Pack, it does show that the Liam threat, goes back as far as the Savenne threat. But because there's no actual time period of when this sort of occurred. But what I do know is the Liam and Savenne threat did not occur before 2016, and that's a guarantee. Never in my life. But anyway, let's get back to Lauren. So Lauren got in a relationship with someone called Michael. Now this Michael's threatened to smash me out. He's a rough type person, he's a builder, and he thinks I'm Savenne. And he's got nasty with me, and he's put me in a dangerous situation before now. And this Lauren's got in a relationship with that person. They know she's now a single mother with 2 ginger haired boys, I believe. I think they're boys, I can't remember, I didn't really look. But they're both ginger haired people, you know, children. So since that time they've been in a relationship. She's ignored me, or she's given me that evil look, and he's made threats mistaking me as Savenne or getting nasty. And that's the end of that story. Well, this painting is a picture of a lookalike to this Lauren, who is shining the sunshine down on a man that looks like a boy holding a notepad or a clipboard in one hand with a torch in the other hand. So she's beaming the sun down deliberately on this man. All around the rest of that painting it's all cloudy and rainy, with sort of the weather I like. So When I go out, obviously I'm cursed with the sun all the time and I don't want the sun. But this painting is making the suggestion that the sex comes with the sun. And the cloud comes without the sun, without the sex, sorry. So, that's that. So, right, so I'm just basically trying to do this bit with Lauren, mention this bit with Lauren, and I've had to do this about 5 times because what's happened is animals are speaking, I'm losing my concentration, I've lost my, I've lost it, my mind's going blank, my mind's going crooked, where the Creator God's trying to curse me to stop me having a fucking say while I waste megabytes trying to do this recording to put in my life story pack, basically. The bastard is just bitterly fucking evil. The Creator God, Jesus Christ, are just bitter, evil bastards. It's as simple as that. Anyway, I'm going to remind you on the painting, give you the painting for, just start with the painting, this Lauren painting, okay? I'm not going to go with nothing else at the moment, just that painting. So that painting has a picture of this Lauren, much a lookalike, maybe a bit younger, but a lookalike to this Lauren. She's got like a soft body, smooth skin. Her legs are in the clouds, so you only see the stomach coming out in a curved way, overhanging in the sky coming, and she's shining a sun out of her hand onto this chap that's walking through a woodland. Now this chap is a young chap, but he looks like a boy. In actual fact, if you look at the painting, my face has a very similar look to the man's face in that painting, or very near. It's slightly different, but you can see my complexion in that painting of where it could look like my face at the same time. Anyway, he's holding a notepad or a clipboard in one hand, I can't remember what it is, with a pen on it, and a torch in the other hand. He's walking through a track in a woodland. It's cloudy everywhere else on that painting with rain, except where she's shining the sun down on him. Her face is obviously, like I said, looks like Lauren, but she's got a straight lip. But even though it's a straight lip, it's like done in a sexual suggestion, so it looks like she's going, sort of making that suggestion. I'm making a sound to make the suggestion of the pose that she's giving with the lip on that specific painting. And obviously, if you were to look at the painting, it symbolically suggests, or you could interpret it as she's bringing the sun down on you and is going to follow you and give you sex, basically. So basically is applying that she's after the boy on the painting, the man on the painting, and wants sex with that specific person. Now I saw this on the internet, the painting on the internet at that time. I didn't take much notice of it because back in that time I didn't see the weather as cursing me every day with blue skies and sunshine. But when I saw it in Martok, that was when I realised that I was being cursed with sunshine and blue skies where everyone else was getting cloud. And I thought, well, I don't like sunny weather. And I'm getting pissed off and irritated by it, and it's messed up many photos. Quite literally, the whole of 2022 I was struggling to take pictures because of the sun. But it wasn't so cursed back in that time. It was more open for everybody. In 2023, where I've been, it might not be the same for everybody else, but for where I've been, there was about 5 days of cloudy weather crammed together, cramming the rainstorms and the cloudy sections or the cloud covers for that whole year. No more than 5 days for the whole of that year where the cloud was covering me. Otherwise it's been sunny persistently every single day of 2023. January 2024 was much the same. When we came into February, I went down to my father's. Although there was a lot of cloud about, on days when my father was going to town for a drink or whatever, and I was staying behind, the sun would be out where I am, but not where he is. So it was doing it there as well. However, I will give it this. In total, you did have about 2 weeks in the 6 weeks that I was there of cloudy, rainy days, if you were to cram all those days in together as one time period or one time frame of how much in total. for cloudy, rainy weather. Every single day there was the sun at some point. It might have only been for a few seconds or 10 minutes on some days, but that sun was out every single day I was at my father's, when I stayed at my father's back in that time period. When I came back to my place, it's back to sunshine and cursing me with blue skies and sunshine on cloudy days or hazy sunshine days. In total there's been about a week's worth of hazy sunshine days since the middle of March to now. Obviously you've got the 2nd of April, which I mentioned, and you've got the 28th of May that I mentioned, and you've got the 22nd of June, which I mentioned. Otherwise every single day has been sunny. Now I phone people up on these specific days, and there's been 50 days roughly, or just under 50 days, where the BBC have made a mistake claiming it's going to be a cloudy day, and where I've been it's been sunny between the months of mid-April to now. Basically that's roughly 50 days, or just under 50 days, 40 to 50 days, where they claimed it's going to be a cloudy day and there's been blue skies and sunshine where I've been. Anyway, going back to this Lauren cursed painting, as I nickname it, because it's an abstract painting, I did go to Yandles to find out the name of the person that painted that painting, and she did give it me. I wrote it down on a piece of paper, but when I got back I lost the paper. So then I thought, I can't get back on the bus because I had to do another thing, so I thought I'll do it at another time. I said, now she knows the name of the person. I went there about 3 months later to re-get the name of the artist, and speaking to the same person, she didn't have a clue, she forgot. So that was helpful. So I started having a look around in card shops near where my dad lives, and when I visited him, and then obviously I started looking elsewhere and looking on the internet to see if I could find that image, and it looks like they've taken it out of the card shops and they've taken it off of the internet, so they need to disguise it. And by the way, I did find out something else. The printing of those cards are recent-ish as well. So back in the time when I was seeing Lauren in Tesco's, this card wouldn't have been manufactured. The painting would have existed, and it's quite a famous person that's done the painting. And that's what annoys me even more, is the fact that this is a big selling picture that's being sold to people when this sun curse occurs on me. But obviously I'm violated with that, because obviously if we go to later on in 2023, even though that the sun curse is occurring, they timed this lookalike to Lauren, but this was more of like a teenager rather than an adult, and she had rougher skin than this Lauren and a slightly more sour looking face with a more dry and sarcastic appearance, but she did have the same facial features to some extent as this Lauren, and she was wearing a no sex t-shirt. Then after that they make suggestions that all this stuff like this Lauren curse or whatever you want to call it is being replaced with someone who sexually abused you as a child as a replacement, and digging with setups in that way, mostly in 2023, in the last 2 months or last month, and in 2024. So that's how it goes when it comes to this cursed painting of Laura or Lauren, and even today it doesn't stop. Now let's get to the clairvoyant reading of Yvonne, shall we, which I had 1 month and 1 day ago. She predicted that someone called Yvonne is coming into my life. It's going to be a youngish person, a young lady, and she said that all the clairvoyants that give me readings in the past have not really read me properly or gone into detail, and said that she can pick up on readings that they give me that hasn't turned out to be true, which is true because I didn't say anything to her. I just wanted to find out what reading I had. I didn't even ask, for a girlfriend or anything like that, but she did actually predict this Yvonne. Well, this Yvonne, she didn't give the age of this person, but she said she's definitely going to be a bit younger. And then obviously you've got to take into account people moan about the age gaps these days, so you know, it's a awkward one, but whether it comes true I do not know. Anyway, the day after I had that reading, because she said that was set in stone, she said that lady's coming into my life basically before August 2024, and I'm going to be in a sexual relationship with her before basically Christmas 2024. Anyway, it's a month ago when I had that reading, and she said it could be as early as the start of June to when I know this Yvonne. Well, that wasn't to be. The following day after I had that reading, there was a no chance van followed by an Yvonne van when I went to go and meet up to end my what do you call it? The support worker was leaving her post and she was ending it with me, passing me on to another person. So she wanted to say goodbye and have a meet up discussing that, and that's the day it occurred. On the following day I went to go onto the bus to use a bus service because it was cloudy to some extent. I was forced off that bus because it was busy and they forced me off the other two buses, and then obviously the sun came out across Yeovil and it was cloudy everywhere else in a sly way to get that sun out where I was only. And when I phoned my mum up, it was the same issue there, cloudy there where it was sunny here. So they were doing it like in that curse way of law. But anyway, Yvonne. I went back that day, ended up getting a migraine the following day, so I wasn't too well and I didn't do much on that following day. Then everything was back to normal with increased setups from there onwards right through until current day, because they stepped up all the setups, stepped up all the action against me in the last 6 weeks. Last. Well, yeah, 6 weeks, but the last 3 to 4 weeks is where it's really been hammered hard, but it has been stepped up for about 6 weeks, possibly even a bit more, it's hard to say. It sort of branched off from the loud bites to erections, where that calmed down and the setups increased, the threats increased, the nasty people in my direction increased, and now they started increasing the bikes again. But anyway, I saw a clairvoyant again at the same place, different clairvoyant this time, but same town, just a few days ago. And when it came to this Yvonne, she said there's no such thing as this Yvonne. She said that the previous psychic that gave me that reading has made a bit of a mistake. She got information from spirits that was still giving information to the previous person she was interviewing for a psychic reading, and saying that what was supposed to be for Yvonne was supposed to be for someone else and not for me. She's saying she got muddled up, she didn't do a cleansing ritual, or she didn't clear, or didn't mention to the spirits, or did not end the previous session with the spirit world to the previous person she gave a psychic reading to. So I was getting a section of that person's reading being predicted for myself when it should have been predicted for that other person. However, the psychic I saw just a few days ago has a bit of a less promising bit of news. So there's just 2 things that I mentioned to her, because this time I did mention a couple of things, but I didn't actually mention anything else. I said I was predicted a girlfriend called Yvonne by a clairvoyant 1 month ago, and I just wanted to know what's happening there, to see what she would say on that. And basically I've just given you the answer of what she said. The other thing she said is, she said your life needs to change, and because down the line she can see that I'm going to turn into a grumpy person. I'm just going to get nastier and nastier as my life gets worse and worse, and I'm just going to end up in trouble or end up medicated. And then obviously when she mentioned the medication, she said that's something I know you don't need to take, and she says, and that's just going to make you ill, and when you are on medication like that, it's just going to turn you into a violent person, and eventually you're just going to turn out a nasty person. And she said, but that's not going to happen because Yvonne's coming into your life. Now, she didn't make it sound as nasty as how I'm putting it, but I'm wording it into my own wording, which means exactly what she said, because she used a different phrase, a different interpretation to what I'm saying, but it meant basically the same. So yeah, this latest one believes that there's someone that's been watching me on Facebook and believes that there's going to be someone out there that's going to possibly give me the chance, knowing the situation and me not being with anyone or ever having anyone. And if it does come true, she said again, you'll be in a relationship with this person before Christmas 2024, which is the same as what the previous clairvoyant said for a prediction of Yvonne that was supposed to go to a different person. So it's good news, but she said it's not set in stone. However, the Yvonne reading was set in stone. So I've spoken to a couple of people about this and the way the readings changed, and one person said there's a possibility that the clairvoyant that I saw a few days ago is making that story up, because the reading that the previous clairvoyant gave me, saying that this lady called Yvonne is coming into my life, has been put through. So basically what they were saying is that there was someone that was going to be called Yvonne that was going to come into my life, but they've put it through. And they didn't want to tell me that because they knew it would make me upset, so they gave me a different story and basically told me that the Yvonne was a confusion reading that was supposed to be for another person that had a psychic reading before I had my reading. So that's what they said basically. So, but either way, when it comes to people on the internet, on Facebook, the clairvoyant I spoke to a few days ago said that it's not going to be someone I actually know. She said it's going to be someone that's sort of looked on your profile or been aware of your situation and circumstances and is going to step over and help me out basically. And I have my doubts on this, and she did say it's not set in stone. She said there's many things that can change people's minds and many things and the way people change, but she said there is that possibility. So it's 50-50 basically, and that's the end of that. Well, I've tried doing this recording over 10 times now. Firstly, I keep getting bothered by people passing me, and when I went to go into where Jack the Treacle Eater is at Barwick, dead meat child rapist shouted across from the people that are in the mansion house over there, well, going to sit on the bench. So I've had to go back down the track where I saw all these people, because I need to get this piece of information on the recording. Right, this bit is religious. Obviously, I'm not a religious person. Before I moved to Yeovil, about a year before I moved to Yeovil, or just under, I came across these out-of-body experience people on YouTube while staying at my nan's. And then I was being referred to rapture dream videos of children having rapture dreams of seeing Jesus Christ, and they're foretelling their girlfriends and boyfriends of those people for later on in life, and when the apocalypse occurs and all that sort of stuff. I've never heard of the rapture dream. I've never heard of visions until that time, which was when I was staying at my nan's. Then I started to go and take religious things a bit more seriously. Anyway, skipping all that, I moved to Yeovil and I knew this person called Tim. I had a few discussions and conversations with him in the early days, and he said God helped with him, and said he only did a bit of religion went into Christianity for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and he said God helped him just in that small time period and listened to my prayers, and I got into a sexual relationship. And he said, take into account, I was quite an old person. He says, not old, but he says most people have been in a relationship at the age I was, which he said was 31. At the time I was 41, and I've still not had anyone in my whole life. And I didn't tell him that. A couple of months later on I mentioned that down the line, and his face dropped and we had less communication and he wasn't speaking as frequently. And I said I've been doing the same, I've been praying for a long time and whatever, and nothing's happening. So things got worse as I went to church, and in 2022 it turned out to be the nastiest threat year that I've had in my whole life. For direct threats, might not be the nasty or most vicious threat year on record, but for actual threats or stuff said, yeah, it was. Anything from 40 to 140 every single day, and on very bad days up to 200 maybe plus that. So you know, it hasn't been good, no. Anyway, to skip a long story short, after going to the church and visiting people with coffee mornings or whatever, I was experiencing problems upon problems, near miss attacks, seagulls going ha ha, or voice sounds coming out to say you've raped Sadie or Stephanie or Amy or Ian or whatever, when I've never had sex with those people. To say that you're going to be knife dead, you're going to be broken into, you're going to be injected with whatever, you're going to have your life taken, you're going to be smashed up, you're going to the fire of hell, and just so on and stuff like that, or going ha ha, how you've been raped as a child or whatever. So animals were making sounds like that. So when I went to church and left church, I was always getting in trouble, and the seagull would go ha ha ha, or crow go ha ha ha. Or if you got an erection because of a loud bike in the church service, you know, the seagull would go ha 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 while praying or worshipping God or whatever. So I started to take it less seriously, and prayers weren't being answered at all, I tell you that. Well, in recent times, in the last 2 weeks, I decided to text him, and I said, I prayed to Christ and God since I was the age of 14 for a partner. And he comes up with this story saying, well, maybe God doesn't want you to have a partner, you know, and all the rest of it. So I made a text up, which I texted him, which had more detail, more depth of what I was going to say, and basically said that, and basically his reply says, and you're not going to get nothing. I'll text you with some more information later on. When I basically said, I've been praying since I'm 14 and still not got nothing. And what happens? He doesn't text me back, and that's the end of that. So, you know, when it comes to Christianity, it's the same with Jehovah's Witnesses' mind. They refer you to Jesus Christ in Christianity, or Jehovah, or Michael the Archangel in the Jehovah's Witness religion. And straight after I got that reply, that text from Tim, the day after, they were doing all these stupid setups to make a suggestion to insult my old man, or going far-fetched with suggestions regarding my old man, basically. And then on top of that, they increased the threats, the overall setups, and people coughing and sneezing in my face, and people photographing me, giving me threats and telling me I'm a sick bastard or whatever else. So yeah, Christianity or God or Jesus, all that certainly helps. A family with several girls who just currently walked past about 5 to 10 minutes ago, and obviously it's worth mentioning on this recording because I've mentioned this sort of thing before, but what one of the girls said is, God is protecting me, and that's why men can't get past, or they can't walk anywhere when basically men pass her. So there's something I want to mention that goes back to January. In January there was 2 girls that came off the field, not far from where I'm walking at this moment in time in fact, and as I was walking down I came to a sudden stop. I couldn't go anywhere. It was like an invisible curtain that was stopping you walk anywhere. If you were to imagine jumping on a trampoline, you get a suspension of where it's pushing you back up. With this magnetical force that's stopping you go anywhere, it's not a suspension that's forcing you back. You can force yourself back at your own will. But the downwards position of where you're going, jumping on a trampoline, where you feel like you're going down, does occur. And the more you push through the invisible curtain, the more it holds you back. And then obviously you can't go through. But it's not a physical touch. It's like an invisible sheet. So if you've got 2 magnets that don't go together, and you try pushing them together, they don't touch each other, but they try and force each other away from each other. Well, this doesn't force you back as such. This just stops you from going anywhere. And you can go back at your own free will. Well, I couldn't go anywhere at all for about a minute or 2 minutes. I can't remember how long it was now, because it's happened on a couple of occasions. And it was only when those 2 girls that came off the field that were walking in front of me walked about a minute or so down the path, that force that was stopping me going anywhere opened up for me to walk back down the path again. So whether this girl, what she was speaking about when she walked past me, is referring to a force like that that's stopping people go past, saying God's protecting her, could be a possibility that is the same force or invisible curtain that was stopping me going anywhere, as those two girls aged about 9 or 10 came off the field to walk together to go back home or wherever it was they were going, and they were about 20 foot in front of me at the time. This invisible force stopped me going anywhere back in January. Going back to the Liberal Democrats possibly gaining power at the election in July 2024, amongst the setups of suggesting ripping me to pieces with the ripping you to pieces paper shredder van and the smashed double bell alarm clock that says just in time in the middle of it, there's a few other things I want to mention. For the first time in 4 years, they've timed the van that says earn a living, and there's also another van, I think it's prepare for work, I'm not sure, which is also another van I've not seen for a very long time. But there is a small possibility that in April time period, maybe May of 2022, there could have been a time where I saw it when I went to Somerton using public transport, but I can't guarantee that. Otherwise, you're looking at 4 years ago since I last saw that van. So it's very interesting that they're timing that. But if we go back to April area, and possibly rarely at times before that, I can't remember, but there's a hip hop track that plays in someone's car. In fact, there's two, with the one that occurred last week or the week before, I can't remember when it was. Well, basically both tracks basically say the same thing. One of them says that you're earning a living, you've got to work for a living, you've got to pay for your bills and all the rest of it. So it's like a track that says that you're earning a living, you're in a job, but it doesn't matter because you're enjoying sex with work. At least you have, it's saying at least you get the sex. Basically, it basically takes a biscuit, so it insults people that haven't had sex basically in their whole life, with the suggestion of how do I word it? Earning a living and enjoying sex with a beautiful, sexy, smooth-skinned woman. You know, it basically really rubs it in, basically saying that. But take into account at 43, you don't get a sexy, smooth-skinned woman. So if the government did force people who are mentally disabled into a job, who have never had sex with anyone in their whole life, apart from being sexually abused as a child, that's going to go against them, and that's going to cause many fucking problems and cause a lot of trouble. And it's quite a few times that they time that track. But it gets even better, because it was either last week or the week before, they timed another music track, which basically said, what did it say? Very similar. I think it might have been hip-hop, I'm not sure. But it says enjoying sex with a tot and earning a living, but at least you get your tot, you get your sex, you get, you know, it's a track that basically says that. So, yeah, not very happy about that. And another thing that's occurred is there has been some new worded vehicles, especially on the day where they timed that dad lorry timed as I walked out the door and the starting setups in that suggestion of that day. It's a black t-shirt which was worn by a teenager, and I couldn't photograph the other one, and the one of them I couldn't photograph anyway because the person who was wearing it was a young person, and you're not allowed to photograph children. And it says spill your guts, so that's what the t-shirt said. And there's many other vehicles or wording on t-shirts which were new and just as strong suggesting as the t-shirt I just mentioned throughout that specific day.